Hey you guys, I know I look a little dopey in my glasses, but sometimes this ring light situation can be a little intense. It is Saturday morning, April, I don't know to be honest. It might be the 12th, might be the 13th. I don't know if you can tell, but it is a full-on winter wonderland outside. Woke up to everything covered in snow, and not just like a little bit of snow, but we're going on like probably more than an inch out there right now. And it being almost halfway through April, it means that I'm over 6 months sober of cannabis and weed, which has been something that I've been wanting to do for, well, way longer than 6 months actually, maybe even some years. I can actually remember, let's see, when was it? I was still living in New York City at the time, so I want to say this would have been like December 2020. I remember joining kind of like a New Year's challenge kind of thing where you were gonna get healthy and do like a cleanse or detox or something. And one of the commitments that I made was that I was gonna stop smoking marijuana. And that was kind of one of the first times I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? I'm saying one thing, but I'm doing a completely different thing. I'm doing something that is actually antithetical to the commitment that I said I was going to make. I said I was going to stop smoking weed, and now here I am actually like smoking even more weed. So it was sort of like, oh, something's up. And I've said this in almost every video I've made, but I'm not here to demonize weed. I don't think the stuff is necessarily even bad for you, but like so many things out there, it's about moderation. It's also about time, place, and circumstance. And that's something that is kind of something that is for each one of us to figure out what our individual relationship is with it. One thing that I've learned that does not work is to make the comparison and say, well, here's this person, they're smoking weed X amount of times a day or X amount of times a week, and they seem to be doing fine. So why don't I just do that? Well, for one thing, it's they seem to be doing fine. We don't actually have 100% insight into what their subjective experience is. And the second thing is that like they've got a different constitution than you do, than I do. So it doesn't really make sense whether it's fucking Joe Rogan or Bill Maher or Woody Harrelson. And these are just some of the people that I've seen out there on like the more, I don't know, the podcasting stage or whatever, who got fame, acclaim, and riches, etc., who are using and seem to be doing so in a way that's not debilitating them, to just the friends of mine, like the artist who lives in the studio above the restaurant that I work at, who's always stoned, the chef behind the line who's always out there smoking a fatty on her break. It's so easy for us to just look at what another person is doing and say, hey, well, since they're doing it, it must work the same for me. But it's not really the way it works. Every single one of us has a unique constitution, a unique psychophysiological constitution. That means our bodies have a unique makeup and our minds have a unique makeup. And something like cannabis being the adaptogen that it is, it's going to interact uniquely with our physiology and our psychology uniquely, right? So it's not going to have a 100% same exact effect. It's an adaptogen. It adapts to the environment that it is interfacing with. Okay? So yeah, I'm like, for 5 years now, was trying to take these little breaks of smoking cannabis because well, why? That's a great question to ask. Why did I even want to take the break in the first place? And I think even back at that time, I was kind of like, I could feel myself leaning into weed as kind of like not just a coping mechanism, but like a self-soothing tool to just like numb out some of the uncomfortable emotions that I was going through, whether those emotions were anxiety related based on things that I needed to step up and step into, new experiences, new challenges. I was getting into coaching at the time. I was having to create a lot of like public facing content, and I felt nervous about it. And there was something to me that felt like the weed unlocked a more authentic, a more genuine, a more interesting, frankly, version of myself than just who I was when I was sober. And that creates a little bit of a conflict of interest when it feels like we have to use something else to unlock authenticity. It kind of negates the actual like definition of what authenticity actually is. So yeah, I'm just like thinking about how long it's been since I've wanted to do this. Because from that point, December of 2020, moving forward, the cannabis use just compounded basically. It I started smoking more and more and more and more to the point where I was like, well, is it okay to smoke at 6 in the morning when I wake up? Is it okay to smoke um, at 11 a.m. before I go take a walk with a friend in the park? Is it okay to smoke before I lead my coaching calls? Is it okay to smoke right before I go to bed? Is it okay to smoke before dinner? Is it okay to smoke before I exercise? Before I take a yoga class? And there was something in the feedback loop that like kind of validated these experiences for me, that kind of made it feel like, yeah, it is okay, because it makes all of those things better. And that's actually where I think a little bit of or a lot of the illusion was it actually making those situations better for me, or was it just kind of putting a temporary veil in a way over my direct experience in those moments? And look, maybe it was making it better, but something that I came to have to evaluate over time was like, for what duration of time was it actually better? What was the net result of my engaging with cannabis? If it garnered me some sort of positive yield, was that positive yield actually, did it outweigh the negative net outcome? And I started to have to get really like, I don't know, I want to say like scientific with it. I had to actually start to really list out things. Okay, here's what it did for me. It made me feel a little bit more unlocked creatively, right? It made me feel a little bit more connected into my body. It brought my nervous system, like it pulled it way, 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 way down into more of a parasympathetic nervous system response for a short time, right? And then afterwards, being in the parasympathetic for too long is not really optimal. Yeah, I know most of us are caught in sympathetic nervous system response right now. We're more so in that survival response. We're more so in this like conditioned fight or flight stress response. But to be in parasympathetic for too long, that's like where you start to freeze. You start to like, you can't get up. Everything feels heavy. And that would oftentimes be how I felt on the other side of using weed. Once I got through that threshold of doing the thing that I was scared to do, the reason I was using the weed was to unlock something, was to help me get more present, more alive. Well, after then I did that thing, the calm down was so intense that it would make me like kind of triggered me into a whole bunch of other stuff like binge eating and pornography and excessive masturbation and like wanting to just like lay around and sleep all the time. I'm thinking of, in yoga, there's this concept of modes of nature. You've got rajas, energy that is kind of passionate, and then on the other end of that, you've got this tamasic energy, energy that pulls you down. an energy of ignorance and sloth in a way. And weed has that very tamasic pull. And so, yeah, just to like frame all that out, like I had to really look at like, okay, am I getting net negative or net positive results from my cannabis use? And almost every time the scale tipped more to net negative. So it was just like a sign that was like, okay, it's time to maybe let this stuff go. Um, Fuck, I used the stuff when I transitioned from living in New York City to moving up here, being in Chatham. I used the stuff to kind of every single time I went on a big trip. I spent a month in India. I would go travel in Europe. I would go be in South America. And most of the time when I was taking those travels, I wasn't smoking. But as soon as I got home, weed was there as though to welcome me with open arms to like coming back home. And on one hand, there was something beautiful about that. Sure, you could say it regulated my nervous system, but again, it tended to be that. I think I made a video about this. It was like, it was the catalyzing behavior that then set forth into motion a whole other set of processes, a whole other, yeah, like chain of events that would then unfold from the smoking. And those chain of events were also all things that were kind of yielding me net negative outcomes. So far I've talked about kind of like the why behind wanting to quit and the journey of, well, how long it's been since I've wanted to, and then also what it was like to start to quit. Because, one of the reasons I said that I couldn't have imagined that I would be here talking to you today saying that I've been sober of weed for 6 months is because I actually tried a lot of times to be like, you know what, I'm not going to smoke today. And then halfway through the day, by some reason or other, whether it's me going out and getting the weed, once I said, I'll never forget this, once I like made a commitment to like not smoke for a week, and the day that I made that commitment, I was taking a walk through town, and a friend drove by in their car, and they pulled over and said, Patrick, I've got this stuff I really want you to try. I was thinking of you, because they probably know how much I like to smoke weed. And they come out with this tiny little mason jar of some bud and hand it over to me. And my response was not, you know what, I'm not smoking this week. It was like, well, I guess I'm not starting my weed sobriety today. And I came to have to see instances like that almost as I don't so much want to say like tests from the universe, because that feels like, I don't know, it feels cruel in a way. But it's if we gamify it, it's almost like that's kind of an obstacle. That's a boss. That's a villain. And can you push through? How true to our commitment are we actually? And how much was that just my addiction being like, oh, we'll start tomorrow, obviously. Because I was just trying to chalk it up. Well, what are the chances? I didn't seek this out. Somebody just literally drove by me and handed me this stuff. But what I came to find is that like there would always be a version of that every single time I said I was going to stop. There would always be some version of somebody coming and basically putting it right into my hands. And so that is like one of the most confronting things, because then you are actually having to exercise your will, your choosing power. Just one other example of when this happened, this is before I moved upstate. I was traveling to New Mexico to spend some time with my mom out there, and I was going to be there for like 5 weeks. And I'd been smoking a lot in New York City where I was living at the time. This was COVID and blah blah blah. So as I was leaving New York to go to New Mexico, I remember saying to myself, all right, clean slate, new environment, different relationships, like I'm gonna start this thing fresh. Like I'm gonna stop smoking when I go to New Mexico. And on about the second or third day that I was there, I got a knock on the door, and it was the neighbor of my mom who lived a few houses down, who apparently grows. And she holds up a large plastic Ziploc bag of her trimmings. And she was just like, I heard you like to smoke, this is for you. And same thing, I didn't say, I'm actually not anymore, thank you so much. And frankly, it'd probably be easier for me not to have that here. I really appreciate it, because there's something that even gets into our there's like a social pressure in a way. It's not even that she was pressuring me to, but it's this obligation that we feel within. I think people experience this a lot with drinking. It's like you're out, your friends are drinking, everyone, you want everyone to be having a good time. You don't want to be the one sober one, so you just decide to partake. That's kind of like, I think what this was too. I wanted her to feel like I was grateful for her gesture. And I also probably wanted the weed. And so I just took the bag. And, so most of the time I was in New Mexico, I was stoned. So yeah, I did eventually get some success with taking a few days off. And I would notice wow, the weed, the high that I get from cannabis is actually better when I take a few days off between sessions, if you will. And so I'd say to myself, you know what? I'm only going to smoke once every 5 days. But then day 2, 3, or 4 would roll around and I would just be right back there smoking because I wanted to. So I was never really able to stay true to my word. And honestly, you guys, this is probably one of my biggest takeaways, is that how do I say this? The repercussions that come from us not being able to take our own word, and the lack of self-trust that perpetuates, is honestly arguably the worst side effect of an addiction cycle. Yes, there are going to be side effects from you using weed. There's all sorts of, you can go on YouTube and learn about the effects that THC is having on your neurology, on your physiology, on your psychology. There's so much, and actually even data on this now. You can feel them yourself. I was feeling I'm not sleeping well. I'm getting puffy eyes in the morning when I smoke before bed. My appetite is completely, my eating cycle was so fucked up because I was so used to just smoking and then eating a lot and then not being hungry later. It was all weird. So yeah, there are a lot of bad side effects from using drugs, but I think one of the most devastating side effects is the way in which we perpetuate a cycle of lack of self-trust in ourself, obviously self-trust, when we don't follow through on our word. So I kind of then had to just stop saying I was going to smoke because I was so tired of not believing myself. So then you lower your bar, and that's not even really an ideal thing, especially for someone who is so passionate about people being on a growth path and evolving. And so yeah, that's just a huge takeaway for me. If you want to build that cycle of self-trust, just do what you say you're going to do. And if you find that you're not doing what you say you want to do, then say you're going to do something smaller. Make the commitment even easier. This is an atomic habits hack. Anytime you want to start a new habit, make it easy, make it obvious. So yeah, I wasn't really even planning to talk about that, but it came through, and as I'm saying it, it's hitting me as to what a huge part of my process it's been, is the lack of self-trust that I had in myself over these last couple of years, because I kept not doing the thing that I said I was going to do. So now here to be some 6 months out, 6.5 months out from smoking, it's whoa, we fucking did it. We did what we said we were going to do. And it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. And honestly, you guys, I thought, so what? I made a 30-day video. Some of you saw it. I made a 60-day video. I remember when 90 days, 3 months rolled around, I was thinking oh, this is going to be the video. This is going to be it. I'm going to make 90 days. That is just huge. 90 days rolled around and I didn't want to make a video because I was like, nothing has changed. My life isn't really even that good. Like, I should, like, there's a lot of days where I just want to go back to smoking. So then 4 months rolled around. Same thing. 5 months, even 6 months. Like, I'm actually recording this video spontaneously this morning. I didn't come here planning to do my 6 month sober of cannabis video, but here we are. And I think a big part of that is because I didn't realize how, I mean, I said so much of it in the last video, like quitting cannabis isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Things really have to get worse before they get better a lot of the time. And I think that that initial stretch of sobriety is part of things being worse. I saw a really interesting kind of infographic the other day. Maybe I'll try to put it in here, but if I don't, because I'm lazy, it's a shape like a long diamond, but it starts like this, boom, and then it closes out long like that. And there's a line right at the apex of the, right there, and it says, this part is saying 5 years of pain. And then as it comes out here, the much bigger portion, it says 50 years of freedom. 5 years? I'm sitting here being like, wow, 6 months. That's like a tenth of what I would actually have to go through. Because there's pain involved in sobriety. Sobriety is the flex. It's so much easier to just go and imbibe. It's so much easier to just go and like kind of run away from the feelings that you're feeling, when really, to me, the ultimate reframe has been like, whatever I'm feeling is the medicine I need to help me alchemize what I'm going through into who I'm becoming next. And it will change. It's like, this too shall pass. And most of the time, it's like, if I can just make it to bed, if I can just get, whether it's something stressful that's happening at 10 a.m., at 2 p.m., at 6 p.m., to know that like sleep is waiting for me at the end of the day, and that sleep is going to be one of the most potent things I can give myself to like integrate my experience, is coming. And yeah, you could light up with some, psychotropic drug and integrate. Weed doesn't even really, it's not an integration tool. I find it's often like more of a differentiation tool. Maybe I can do another video on that. But yeah, like, sleep will make a big difference, you know? Fuck. So the last thing I want to say is, when I gave cannabis up, I noticed that I was leaning way more into other things that made me feel good. Scrolling on my phone, on social media. Coffee became sacred to me. I haven't given up coffee yet, but I have really downgraded. I only drink, I buy half calf. I buy half calf and I have 1 cup of that in the morning, maybe 2 if I'm feeling crazy. I fuck with tobacco every once in a while, but really not often. I think I bought a pack of cigarettes like a month ago, and there's still several in there. Sugar was a big one. Sugar was probably my next go-to, actually, and I gave up sugar January 1, so that's been a little over 3 months. So I kind of want to posture this as like, it's kind of just a law that like when you give up something that makes you feel good, you will automatically replace it with other things that kind of get you a little bit to that same dopaminergic place, right? And don't judge it too much. Just see if you can keep titrating it. Are you familiar with this word titrate? They use it in nervous system repair. It's like everything's iterative. So something's going to happen again and again and again and again, whether you like it or not. So see if you can modulate your response to that incrementally, just 1% every time it happens. And then slowly but surely you'll have made a massive change over a span of time, instead of feeling you have to do it all right at once. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope there was some little tidbit in there you found inspiring. And who knows, maybe you'll see me making another one of these when I hit another benchmark of my weed sobriety.